Told you I'd go live tonight, so here I am going live. Um, I started the stream for 10 minutes or whatever, where it could show you, if someone's waiting to watch it, but whatever. It's 10 o'clock, so I'm just gonna treat this like a normal video. But we were gonna do Q and A's today, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start Q and A's, and we'll get into it. So I do read all your guys' comments, and I really appreciate all the engagement. And I hate when people say ring the notifications bell because I up until I did this live thing just now, I thought to myself, well, if I stumble across a video or if I check the channel and their video looks decent, then I'll watch it. I don't need to be notified if there's a new one. I don't watch any YouTube where it's like I gotta see every single episode, every single thing they drop. I don't, you know, have anything like that I watch religiously. The closest thing is probably the Joe Budden podcast because it's just so funny every time. But like here and there, I'll miss an episode. You know what I mean? I don't need to see every single episode. So, but I did write down the questions that you guys commented me. I have them right here. So I thought I would answer some of them. So and I'm gonna shout all you guys out, so you guys know I might start doing this every Sunday night. I think that's a good kind of thing to look forward to, and maybe we could start kind of like a separate niche live community because I like interacting with you guys, and I think that's a cool thing to be able to do that not a lot of people are doing. A lot of people just post content and just leave it out there, and it's basically a dead channel besides them just posting comments. But I try to be active in the comments. I try to read everything. I try to like everything. So, I appreciate you guys. But let me get into these questions, okay? First question. This comes from Jane the Jubilant. Shout out to Jane. She's commented on multiple videos. Seems like she watches a lot of my content and enjoys it, especially my fragrance stuff. So I appreciate you, Jane. Personally, seriously, thank you from the bottom of my heart. But she asks, are there any fragrances that tickle my nose? That's part one of her question. Off the top of my head, like, bro, one time I sprayed 9 p.m. in my car on myself, and I had to like roll down the windows because I couldn't stop sneezing and it was just in my sinuses. So it's beyond a tickle. It's like a full blown, like damn near allergic reaction. Like that shit is so strong and powerful. Like definitely don't do it in a closed environment. It's just too much. And guys, if you watch any of my videos and I've talked about how I spray stuff on, I'm not a light sprayer, but that shit, listen, 4 sprays max, that'll get the job done, I promise. And I am not a sissy sprayer. I'm not a guy that's, afraid to spray a lot of cologne on. Like I use a lot, but that shit is next level powerful. So that one is definitely one that tickles my nostrils. And then the next part two of that question is um, what started me boxing? Or I guess it's a weird way to word it. What made me start boxing? Um, it's kind of a long, convoluted answer, but I'll do my best to keep it short. If you guys haven't seen in my channel, scroll down in my channel when it talks about my life story. Get to know your host better, I think is the Garage Goons title of that video. Go check it out. But I've been an athlete most of my life and played sports. And in college, I was playing junior college football. In optional spring training, I tore my ACL up. So um, basically, that off season was my first off season out of high school, and everybody else was bigger than me. And I played linebacker, and I was like 185 pounds. So I was eating 10,000 calories a day, lifting twice a day, running to try to keep all my speed but still get bigger. And I got up to like 210, 215. And so I was still on the smaller side, but big enough to like have them kind of take me seriously with linebacker. and I tore my ACL during optional spring training practice. And it was like the hardest 6 months of my life, um, because I had been athlete my whole life. I identified as an athlete. I was just like, why did I do all this hard work? Why did I eat so much? Why am I trying to gain all this weight just to be big any way I can? Why am I doing this stuff to my body? Why am I doing this? You know what I mean? Like, why did I do all this for nothing? And then it gets ripped away from me. So, um, as you guys may know, if any of you guys had major surgeries, especially in like the time from like 2005 to like 2015, that's when like the major opiate crisis happened. And I did have an issue with opiates after my surgery because they didn't tell me to wean off nothing. They were just giving me the most crazy dose of Percocets. And then they just told me, okay, when you feel better, just stop taking them. And I did that, and I had withdrawals. And then I thought, like, okay, this is just going to be a part of my life now. And basically, a year later, after I had decided I wasn't going to do steroids to try to beef back up, and I just didn't want to eat that much again and whatever, train that hard again, um, to potentially not be as good as I was before I tore it playing football. I just walked into a fight gym. I had always liked MMA, but fighting saved me. Fighting got me off of the the Vicodins, the Percocets, the oxycodines, whatever I could get my hands on that was like oxy related at the time, or opiates like that weren't street opiates. I never got to that level, but I could easily have seen if I didn't find something to fill the void. I think that could have led to a dark, dark place, and fighting saved me. So I started out with MMA, and I just kind of always been in martial arts my whole life. And I just did my first boxing match 2 years ago, but that was just pure boxing. You know what I mean? I started out with MMA and jiu-jitsu, wrestling, kickboxing, Muay Thai, and then I moved gyms, and picked it back up a few years ago, like right at around 30, 31. And I just fell in love with the sport again. And then I took a boxing match because my gym was putting on like a smoker show, which is basically like a not sanctioned fight, but with refs and everything. It was safe, it was done the right way. And the guy I was supposed to fight said, I'll do it if we box. And then he backed out. And so I had been training just boxing for like a month. And then somebody else was like, okay, I'll step up and fight. And I said, all right, well, I've been training for boxing. I kind of want to box. That's where my mind's at mentally. So that's how I started boxing. So thanks again, Jane, for the question. Joe Green, shout out to Joe. He's also in my comments. He's always on my fragrance videos. I appreciate Joe. Stand up background, question mark. That's what I have. I know the question's longer, but I put the SparkNuts version of your guys' questions. So what got me started in stand up was my boy, who's been on the channel several times, Jay Theo. Um, he told me one day, he's like, bro, I've been doing poetry for a long time, and I kind of want to get out there and perform it. What do you think about if I do hip hop? It's like, it's close enough to poetry, it basically is, but it's with, poetry over like a bass line and, drums and synths and a beat basically. And I said, dude, that sounds awesome. And he's like, all right, cool. Yeah, I want to eventually do this at some point. And he had been talking about it for months, and he had a couple songs out at this point. And I'm like, bro, I signed up without him knowing, because he'd been too chicken. He'd been too much of a weenie to like book anything for himself. So there's like a pizza joint called Rock and Roll Pizza that no longer exists. Well, it exists, but just not where it used to be. And they had an open mic night, and I signed him up. But I thought it would be kind of like bullshit if I just signed him up and I didn't do anything. But I don't rap like that. So I said, you know what? I've been flirting with the idea of doing stand up. And then that same night, I wrote down like a 7-minute set, and it killed. Now, I don't kill every time. I've definitely gone up there and bombed, and like people have been yawning and fucking talking to other people while I've been up on stage. So it's not like I'm batting 1,000, but I just remember the first time I went up and how good of an experience it was, and how I got all these laughs, and people just really enjoyed it and said I need to do it again. So I just kind of stuck with it. It's kind of been a hobby of mine. It's never going to be something that I like try to make money off or monetize, but I just like getting out there and doing it and making people laugh. So that was how I got started in stand up. So thanks for the question, Joe Green. This next question comes from user formerly known as T. Worst smell and fragrance, and then also what are some weird ones that I like. So worst smell and fragrance. There's certain Middle Eastern colognes, not colognes, like perfumes that are just really strong, and they're women's perfumes. And I don't know the names of them, but I know when I smell them, like it's just too much for me. It just doesn't agree with my nose. I'm sure a lot of people appreciate those smells, but there's not a single fragrance that like comes to mind when it comes to like something I absolutely hate. Um, but weird ones I like. Halloween Man. Just Halloween Man is super weird. It's like a candy grape flavor with cinnamon and like uh, it's just like grape soda with cinnamon and like fucking baked like pie. It's hard to explain, but it is a really weird fragrance, and it's not linear at all. It changes like the longer you wear it. It never smells the same for 2 hours in a row. It like it's so crazy how much it changes, but that's probably a weird one that I would say I like. Um, and then I have tried Fahrenheit once. Most people don't like that one, but I mean, it does kind of smell like gasoline, and I love the smell of gasoline, so that might be weird to a lot of people. Um, so yeah, that's like a weird one that I really like. But Halloween Man, that's a banger. I picked it up at Ross for like $13. I'm like, fuck it, like let's just see what this one's about. And I like it. It's really cool, and it really, to its credit, it does make me think of Halloween because it's like a candy grape. It makes me think of like grape uh Jolly Ranchers, and maybe like sour grape candy too, because there is a little bit of sourness to it. And also, like I said, just like sweet seasonal like cinnamon. There's almost like I don't know if it's just the name Halloween, but I almost get like when you get like this baked pie scent that comes in with the cinnamon and like the really bready bakery smell that comes in later on. It it kind of gives like pumpkin pie vibes as well with the grape. It's a great. I might have to do a video on that fragrance. So that's a weird one I like. I really dig that one. Let's see. The Lady Cleo, shout out to you. Appreciate the comment. Embarrassing reactions to fragrances I wore. I don't like it is always kind of embarrassing when you're in like a closed environment, like if you wore like a cologne, and this has happened to me a couple of times, where I've been like back in my single days, which it's been like half a half a decade at this point. But where I would wear a fragrance and I'd be in a car and they'd be like, "Oh, do you have cologne on?" And they would ask it like that, and I'd be like, "Yeah, I wore some. It's called blah blah blah." And then they'd be like, "Oh, okay." And then I'd be like, "Ew, I'm kind of afraid to ask if she likes it or not." But um, I'm just picking my nose on camera and shit. No big deal. So that's embarrassing, picking your nose on camera. So I've had embarrassing interactions like that. I've had my mom say like, "Oh, that's powerful," which is usually not a compliment. Um, but I don't know if I've had like something that's like super embarrassing to where it's like someone had like an allergic reaction. Thank God. I don't work in an office environment. I am an electrician and I try to avoid the office like plague. So I'm only in there when we do like safety meetings once a month and stuff like that. So I don't I'm not like in closed environments with people a lot, you know what I mean? So uh thankfully that's my life scenario. So there's very rarely when I'm like in a closed environment with cologne. Cause also too, like if I know I'm gonna be like traveling like on an airplane or something like that, I'm not gonna wear anything that like isn't super safe. Like if I'm gonna be packed in somewhere, I'm gonna wear like Aqua de Gel or YSLY, something that's not like super offensive or like room dividing, just because I don't want to do that to people. You know what I mean? So, and then any embarrassing or funny reactions to others wearing fragrances. It is the second part of that question. My mom asked me one time, like she had this fragrance that she had been wearing forever, and she's like, "Oh yeah, this is like my, they don't make this anymore. What do you think? Like you like perfumes and colognes, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I love it." And then she sprayed it on, and I was like, "Oh my God, that smells like grandma." You know what I mean? And she got so embarrassed. She's like, "Oh no, like it's nice. What do you mean? Like I can't believe you think that." I'm like, it's just old. And then I looked at her husband, Nelson, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I like it. I was like, well, that's all that matters, Mom. You don't need to smell good for me. I don't care. I'm going to love you regardless. Like, obviously, if your husband likes it and you like it, who the hell cares? You guys are retired now. So you don't even have to worry about like office stuff. So I can't remember. I think it's called Chloe, is the name of like the perfume she likes to wear. But it's just, to me, it's like grandma. It's very just old, and that was embarrassing for her, I think, when I didn't like it and called it old people smell. But it is what it is. Um, and then her Lady Cleo, the last one that asked, the last part of this question, blah, where do I get ideas for my stand up? Now, I don't know who said it. I think multiple comedians said it, but they said something to the effect of stand up isn't saying funny things, it's saying things funny. So where I get my ideas is like I'm a man of very little patience, and I'm constantly working on that. And also I have a temper that shows its ugly head from time to time. And I'm also working on that, and I've gotten so much better with that stuff. But you know, um, it's not fully dead. I'm still human after all, so I have my flaws. So I basically get myself into stupid predicaments a lot of times because of my lack of patience and because of my, I guess, just personality and stuff and dumb shit I've done at different points in my life. And I've always been totally fine with like self-deprecation, like making fun of myself. And I always found like the easiest way to like not get roasted is to be like just lean into the roast. You know what I mean? Like if you get defensive and get butthurt, then it never ends. And when your friends are brutal, and I'm brutal as well towards my friends, it's just kind of better to play along than it is to fight it. You know? I mean, there is a time where you can go back and forth, and that's fun too. But a lot of times it's just better to like just eat it. You know what I mean? Just like go along with the joke. It kind of takes the sting off. So it helps when you can make fun of yourself and um, the things that you're a total dipshit about. You know what I mean? And it. I just have a lot of observations, like everyday normal people observation shit. And I think a lot of times when people all notice the same thing or notice these same behaviors, but like, but nobody talks about it. It's kind of funny when somebody finally talks about it. You know what I mean? Like, I have a joke in my that I'm gonna put out soon. Next time I go up, I'm gonna film it and put it out. But like, it's talking about going back to me not having patience. Like, I fucking die inside a little bit every time when I get stuck behind somebody in an aisle in the grocery store, and they're just fucking doo doo doo, fucking oh, what did I come here for? What aisle is flour on? and they're just kind of like fucking walking half a mile an hour, like right in the middle of an aisle, and I'm in there like the Marines fucking know everything is, trying to get in, try to get out, fucking stuck behind them, and I'm just like, fucking go! And or just at least like fucking go to the side of the aisle so other people that know what the fuck they're doing can pass you. Like, bro, like shit like that. You know what I mean? It's like it's just funny observational stuff like that. And maybe it's not funny to y'all, but I think it's kind of funny. So if I think something's funny, I'll write it down. If something funny happens to me, a lot of times I'll be like, oh, that'd be funny to talk about. Can I make it funny? Or can I say it in a funny way? You know what I mean? And then go from there. So that's kind of my approach to comedy. Um, and that's just how I normally do it. Um, so thank you, the Lady Cleo, for all three of your questions that you submitted. Hopefully that's a good answer for that. What's that smell? Obviously, he's a big fragrance guy that really enjoys my channel. So thank you again for all your support. He asks, least favorite fragrances, has my nose improved, and anything I smell everywhere. So least favorite fragrances, I just don't like. There's not really one I could just tell you like, oh, that's bad. I smelled Black Opium by YSL. Didn't think that was very good. I think there's some bad ones for like the price point where it's like you smell it and you're like, oh, it smells like everything else and it's like super expensive. Like, you know, but I don't, if I don't like it, I don't buy it and I don't really remember it. So like, I'm not as deep into the fragrance game as far as like knowing what everything smells like. Like, to be honest, bro, if it's not in Macy's or like, Ulta or one of those shops where you can go and test it out, I just don't know. Like, I've seen videos on it, but I don't have an opinion about it because I just can't be blind buying shit. And I'm not a big sample buy guy. Like, I don't do Scent Split or Scent Bird or any of these things where you can like get like the little decanters of like the 20 mil or whatever. I probably should. That'd be cool, but I don't do that. So I don't really have a good gauge on what everything smells like. But I can tell you that I have bought stuff in the past that I have straight up thrown out because it was booty cheeks, performance wise, and just like smells like everything else. Um, but I don't, there's not one that comes to mind that I really just, that's like my least favorite. The least favorite in my collection. What's something I like never wear? I wear most of my fragrances. I'm really trying to think here. Um, there is a note. I'll say this. There's a note to me that I can't do it. If anything has like a note that smells like black licorice in it, generally speaking, I just don't like it. It's just bad. I just can't. My nose can't do black licorice. I don't enjoy the smell. I don't enjoy the taste. I don't enjoy black licorice. So if something like says it has black licorice in it, I'm usually not about it. So hopefully, I know that doesn't really answer it, but so has my nose improved? Sort of. So I feel like I probably when I was younger could smell more things. I have vivid memories of like smelling like flowers or like my snake when back when I was like 12, 13. I had a corn like a albino corn snake, and I remember the tank had a specific smell to it from like the wood shavings and the water and the snake and the skin and the poop from the snake. So I remember that, but so I think in some ways it's degraded my sense of smell over the years through getting punched in the nose, through various other activities that aren't good for your nose, spicy food, stuff like that. But in as it pertains to fragrances, I think so. I think my nose has improved because when I was younger, I thought like for the most part all cologne smelled the same. Like, oh, that smells like cologne. Oh yeah, it's like cologne smell. You know what I mean? And now it's like I can tell like differences between different types of blue colognes and like little niche things and pick out what notes are similar and what notes are different. So I think in that regard it's improved, but in other ways it's gotten worse. So let's see. And anything I smell everywhere. Probably the fragrance I smell the most. I honestly like Bleu de Chanel. I feel like all the dudes I know wear Bleu de Chanel, and I think it's a fine. It's a little feminine for me. I actually prefer the female version of light blue Chanel. It's so fucking good. But it smells masculine to me, and Bleu de Chanel smells a little feminine. So I don't know. Bleu de Chanel, and then a lot of people wear Sauvage, and I think both of those are great fragrances. But those are probably the two I smell the most out in the wild. I smell a lot of Bleu de Chanel, and I smell a lot of Sauvage. So um, just because my homies all wear Bleu de Chanel, and it seems like everybody I don't know that I can smell something on in Sauvage. So but they're both fantastic flavors. It just they're really common. Like I'm pretty sure those two are like up there if you look at like the most purchased fragrances every year. So thank you for that question. What's that smell? Last question, Liam GD4QI. We'll just go with Liam. If I ever, this is such a weird question, but I love it. If I ever came home to a weird smell and can't find it, will it drive me crazy? Yes, I'm big on smells. I don't personally like stinking, and I work construction for a living. So like, as soon as I'm desperate to get home to shower, I try to always bring a second pair of clothes if the day's really hard and I want to change after lunch. I have like a really dirt cheap I think it's Nautica Voyage. I just keep in the center console of my truck, which I know is not good because it gets hot in there, but I don't care because I'll just use it to spruce up. I hate when I have deodorant that like fails. Like sometimes I'll switch like the flavors of Old Spice or Degree or whatever, and sometimes I get good performance and other times I just get a bad batch or whatever, and I sweat right through it and it's like nasty. I hate that shit. I hate smell. I just the little slightest bit of stink bugs me. I mean, when I'm training and fighting and sweating, that's different because like everyone smells like sweat. Everyone smells like leather and sweat because all the gear is leather and everyone's sweating. And the whole gym smells like that, so you kind of go nose blind to it. But like once I get in the car, dude, I take my shirt off, I throw it in the back of my truck. I don't even want it in the cab with me. I throw my bag in the back of my truck. I don't want that in the cab with me. Like, and then as soon as I get home, I let all my equipment air out and I open it up and put it somewhere warm and dry. So, yes. And he goes on, if I couldn't find it, what do I do? I fucking look, bro. I look hard and long all over. I use my sense of smell. I have to find, I have come home. I have dogs, so I've come home. Like, there's been a couple of times when they got into something or they just, for whatever reason, got a little sick and they had like diarrhea or whatever and they didn't make it out the doggy door in time and they like shit in the house. Like that's happened before and it makes the whole house smell bad. So I'll sit there and I'll fucking scrub the carpet, bro. Like I'm talking Tide, laundry detergent. I'm talking, um, Dawn soap. Like I'll sit there and literally burn like two towels that I actually like just because they're big and fluffy and absorbent and like literally just go to town on the carpet. I cannot stand that. And I would just look for it until I find it. Bottom line, like usually there's like let's be honest, if something smells in your house, there's usually not a whole bunch of different I don't have like a basement or anything. So, and I'm also pretty familiar with my attic because I've done some like work up there. But like yeah, bro, if something smells, I'm fucking finding that bitch and I'm taking care of it. I can't stand that stuff. So, yeah, I'm gonna find it. It's gonna get found. Um, and so, yeah, uh, that's how I would treat that scenario. And I cannot stand it. I wouldn't be able to like relax until I find what smells bad. So that's how I look at it. And there has been like a few scenarios where like the toilet was leaking and the bathroom smelled terrible and I fixed the toilet like a day later. I replaced it, whatever. And you know, luckily I've never found like any dead rats or anything in my attic, but yeah, dead animals have a very distinctive nasty smell. So I'm kind of rambling at this point. But yeah, man, fucking hate bad smells. I'm super big on hygiene. Take at least one shower a day, most of the time two. Um, but yeah, man, thank you guys for submitting your questions. This video's on way too long, 30 minutes long. Um, Nobody was actually in the live, but that's fine. So, you know, hopefully that answers all your questions. And I think we're going to do this every Sunday, especially if people actually start coming to the actual live video while I'm shooting. So, yeah, let me know. Put my phone in a cup just so I didn't have to hold it. And I think that's going to do it. I think that's it. So, how do I end this thing? Does anybody know how to end a live? Let's see, 3 dots? No, that's share. Let's see that. Highlight saved. Oh, okay. 1 minute videos need to start. Okay. Oh, duh. The X. We out. Sorry, bro. Most trash show on YouTube. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Okay. Live is over.